Hi everyone and welcome to this video. This time my intro will be filmed live, as you can see, and I hope you enjoy the coming video. This video especially is for you, Kathy Barker. You texted me in one of my last videos if a certain color palette will work. And the color palette that she asked me actually if this is possible to do is first emerald. I myself would call it kryptonite as a nerd. Second color was a blue violetish tone, so I mixed these two together, which is my most ever loved phthalo-cyanine blue, which is a hard name to pronounce, but this is it, and a red. It's I don't know, it's not written on there, it's red. Next color was meant to be a deep magenta, which is this one, and this I really love. This is one of the most beautiful magentas I've ever had. It dries a bit dark, so I hope it dries as this is shown here on the bottle. It dries darker, but still it's a really lovely color. And last but not least, the white. Besides all this color palette experiment, I just realized that my float roll is empty. But as I wanted to experiment with my PVA glue anyways, I decided to give it a shot and experiment with my PVA glue, which is empty now as well. So I mixed up my colors. I've already done all the projects here, but I will not show you yet because you will have to watch the video. And they're really cute. I hope they dry as I hope to, and I hope they dry as they look like now. Because it's again a PVA glue, and I have no idea if it cracks again. And you know, I had struggled with PVA glue in the past. Let's just keep fingers crossed. Of course, I will show you the final result in the very end. Hopefully pretty as it is. And now let's start with the pouring itself. So right in the beginning, as usual, I started mixing my colors, and this time it felt a bit weird because I had no float roll, which is my usual go-to medium to mix the colors. And I just had my PVA glue, which is way thicker than the float roll is, so I was not really sure if this is going to work after all, because I also did not want to add that much water. As you might have seen in one of my last videos when I did the experiment series where I added PVA glue step by step to my paint and had some crackage happening, I was really not sure if this is going to happen again if I add too much water. When I posted the results on Facebook, we started having a small discussion about why this crackage actually happened. And I'm really grateful for the discussion, because we found out that first it might have happened because I added too much water to the glue. That having too much water added to the PVA glue in a way destroys the chemical cohesion of the glue, and therefore it could not hold the strength when it started drying, as the paint itself wanted to shrink and it could not hold together to not tear itself apart. So which it obviously did. And the other solution might have been because I used some reused canvases. So basically canvases that already were poured upon and it was dried, and therefore when I pour over it the water cannot soak into the fabric anymore and the paint has to dry more or less only from above, which causes issues anyways. It sounded reasonable, so I wanted to test about this. And so I did have to add a little bit of water because it was too thick to pour actually. But I was really careful about it and did not add too much of it. So I'm going to use some reused canvases to pour over, and I'm also going to use some fresh canvases. So I just want to see if any breakage happens on any of them, and if so, if I can figure out which one it was and what may be the reason for it. So probably it was just the canvas and not the water. Probably it was the water and not the canvas. Probably none of both. So let's see what happens. So I mixed the colors, and as I had nothing close to emerald green, I just used the green that I had. And this is an olive green, and I also used my yellow neon paint and my green neon paint, just to make the color pop and bright and something emerald-like, or kryptonite. There is silicone mixed into each one of the colors, just to enable the cell creation. But I expected it to be smaller cells because the paint mixture itself is way thicker, and the thicker your paint is, the smaller your cells actually going to become. Because the silicone that you have mixed into the paint is not really combining with the paint. So just to make it more visual for you, when you put the silicone into your color and stir it around very much, you create very little tiny cells of silicone which are swimming within your paint mixture. If you only stir a very little bit, you will have larger amounts or larger drops of silicone swimming in your paint mixture. This in a way causes the size of the cells that you're going to achieve in the very end. And the second variable into this equation is actually the thickness of the paint. Because just imagine if we have really thick paint, the silicone needs more power or more strength to rise to the top. If your paint is thinner mixed, then the silicone has an easy life and going to the top way quicker. The heat that you're going to add in the very end with your torch just makes the silicone come up more quickly than it would normally do. So just in case you did not know this before. So this is something you can play with if you want to have smaller or larger cells in the very end. And this is really a thick mixture, so I did not really expect to have so many cells, but it worked better than I expected. And I just going to show you the pours that I did here. There is not so much else to tell because it in a way reacts quite the same as if I've used Float-Roll. It was just thicker, and I do not want to have this like a tutorial video as many others that are already on my channel. So if you're new and this is the first video that you're watching, just head out to any of my other pouring or painting drawing videos which are more tutorial like. This one was more to show Kathy that this color palette has potential and might be working very pretty. And in the very end of the video I also wanted to show how I varnish these artworks, because this was another question I recently got 3 times in a very short time, and they wanted to know my varnishing routine. And as this is nothing really special or difficult, I just put it into this video here and to show you how I do it and explain a bit around it. And yeah, so I just leave you by it watching the pours. I've just sped them up a bit and cut out all the in-between areas where I just cleaned up and prepared the colors and such. So just enjoy watching. I will play some music and I will get back to you in a second for the final results. So this is the varnish that I'm using, and this is the Liquid Hex varnish. They come in different glossinesses. I have the gloss varnish. There is an ultra gloss one, there is a satin one, there is a matte one. I like the glossy one. And this is quite liquid. You can hear it when I shake it. Don't shake it to have not so much bubble in there. And basically you just put it on there. You don't need very much, just this should probably be enough. Use a soft brush. This is the largest and softest one that I have. I use this for all my varnishing stuff and then gently brush over it. Also do the sides. And ta-da! This is actually everything you need to do. This will take not much time to dry, about perhaps 5 to 10 minutes. It depends a bit on how thick layer of varnish you have applied. I always recommend not applying a thick varnish. It is better to make 3-4 coats if needed on a very thin varnish, just because it is drying quicker and it looks shinier in the end. If you have too thick of the varnish applied to your canvas, it might dry a bit milky at some parts. So I prefer having a very thin layer applied, and if it dry and it feels to be not glossy enough, or if you have some areas which did not cover entirely beautiful and glossy, just put another coat over it, and another one, and another one, how many you need. Basically, if you have enough layers added, you can achieve a somewhat look like a resin coat. So the more layers you add, the more glossy and the more even it's going to become, whatever your end result goal is actually. Important thing before you do varnish, remove the silicone oil. And I do have a video in my pendant video where I show how I remove the silicone from artworks. This is just basically adding some baby powder or kitchen flour onto the artwork, once it is dry of course, and then let it sit for about, I don't know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a week, whatever you want. And what it does, the powder soaks in the silicone, and when you remove, just gently brush off the flour or baby powder, and you will see small little dots where the silicone has soaked into the powder, and this sits on the canvas. And what I just do, I use some kitchen soap or something, a soft brush or a soft towel, whatever you would like to use, and soap it in, wipe it off with clear water, and it's perfectly fine. You have removed almost all the silicone. As long as most of it is gone, you will be fine. If you have too much silicone on there and did not remove it beforehand, you will risk having cracks in your varnish. So if it happens to you, it is not that much of a deal. You just let it dry and you will see the cracks right away. And then just go another layer over it, and probably another layer over it. And if needed, another layer, and you will be perfectly fine, and you will not see that there have been cracks in the first place. But as for archival reasons, I would always recommend removing the silicone as good as you can and then apply the varnish. Oh yeah, I didn't remove the silicone completely here, so I don't think you can see it. I will hold it in the sun and can probably see some of the very tiny little cracks here. It looks like an old oil painting, actually, to be honest. So like these cracks that you are having in these very old, century-old oil paintings. So not much of a deal. There was probably not all the silicone removed. I just add another layer of the varnish, and then I'm good. And you know what? This is the reason why I don't do live streams and why I don't do live voiceover when I do my artworks. Because I'm always, I don't know what to say. So even in the varnishing, which is not really a mind-occupying activity, I just don't know what to say. So this is why I do my artworks in silence, just meditating about it and doing the voiceovers afterwards. So I hope this is okay for you. And that's it for the varnishing point for now. And now let's come to the final result, critiques. This is the very first pour that I did, and as you can see, you can't see that much. It is not my most favorite one, so I did not even varnish it because I'm not going to keep it. I think it's just not as pretty as I hope to. So second one, and I have no idea if this really was the second pour that I did or if it's just the second one that I'm grabbing here, but who cares, is this one. And this one really came out nicely. I really like it. I think this area here would have looked better not feathered so much, but overall it looks really cool. These two areas here fit perfectly well together. And this inner area here, and I will show you pictures in the very end with the correct color, look just gorgeous. I really like this one. Next one is this here, and this also turned out really, really pretty. And especially this area up here, this here is the most prettiest thing on the entire pours that I did here. And this is just a really cool green color, and the dark underneath is just beautiful. Love it. Next one, and also a pretty one, is this here. You've seen it red, of course, now it's dried. This of course dried darker as it always does, but all the tiny cells, all the lacing is really cool. This area here is beautiful and I just overall like this piece. The next one of the smaller ones, it has some beauty in it. It's not my most favorite. I think this blob here is a bit too big. It doesn't really fit into the piece, but it is, watched from distance, not really a bad thing. So I really like it in a way. So, and then finally the really large one is this here, which also came out really nice. I'm not so much a fan of this area here, but there was nothing I could actually do to correct it than swiping all of it. I'm really glad that I've added these stripes here. They make some kind of interest. It is a bit of milky and unclear here in this area, so not so much perfect. This as well, but overall, again, looking from distance, what do you think? Is it a keeper or is it worth pouring over it again with something different? I have varnished it though, so just let me know what you think. And that's basically it for this color palette. And Kathy, I hope you really liked the results. I hope you got inspired to try this on your own. So far for this video, I hope you liked it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. As usual, if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to my channel and check out all the other videos that I already have there about pouring, about resin, about sand, about mixture, all of these. And of course some realism, paintings, drawings, tutorials, whatever you want to see. So far, if you have questions, leave me in the comments, and I hope to see you in my next video, which is coming on Tuesday, I think. And so far, have a great day. Bye bye.